Crime and Punishment, written by Fyodor Dostoevsky, is one of the greatest novels ever created, not just because of its story, but because of how deeply it explores the human mind. The book is set in St. Petersburg, Russia, during the 19th century, and it follows a young man named Rodion Romanovich Raskolnikov, often just called Raskolnikov. He's a poor former student living in a small rented room, constantly weighed down by poverty, hunger, and his own restless thoughts. From the very beginning, Dostoevsky shows us that this is not just a story about crime, but about the heavy burden of conscience, guilt, and the struggle between good and evil inside one person's heart. Raskolnikov has a theory, an idea he can't shake. He believes that humanity is divided into two kinds of people: the ordinary people who must live by the law, and the extraordinary people, the ones who have the right to step over the law if it means achieving something great for society. He looks at figures like Napoleon and thinks, they broke rules, they killed people, but in the end, they changed the world. So why can't others like him do the same? This thought, mixed with his desperate situation, grows stronger until it leads him down a dark path. He begins to fixate on a woman named Alyona Ivanovna, an old pawnbroker. She's cruel, greedy, and takes advantage of the poor. Raskolnikov convinces himself that killing her wouldn't just be acceptable, but even justified. He tells himself that the world would be better off without her. Her death, he reasons, could free him to use her money for good causes, to help others, to rise out of misery. But underneath all these excuses, there's also pride. He wants to test his own theory, to see if he belongs to that higher class of people who can cross moral boundaries without breaking down. After days of torment and hesitation, he finally does it. He sneaks into Alyona's apartment with an axe and murders her. But things spiral out of control quickly. Her innocent sister, Lizaveta, walks in and catches him in the act. Shocked and panicked, Raskolnikov kills her too. This wasn't part of the plan. This wasn't justified. And suddenly, his perfect crime becomes messy and tragic. He escapes unnoticed, but from that moment, his mind starts to unravel. The rest of the novel is not so much about the crime itself, but about the punishment that follows, not in the courtroom, but in Raskolnikov's own conscience. He becomes feverish, paranoid, and unstable. Every knock on the door feels like an arrest. Every look from strangers feels like suspicion. He's caught between wanting to confess and wanting to cling to his theory. His pride tells him he was right, but his heart tells him he was wrong. This inner battle is where Dostoevsky's genius shines. Around him, other characters play important roles. There's his mother and sister, Pulcheria and Dunya, who love him deeply and want to help him, though they don't know about his crime. Dunya, his sister, is strong and intelligent. She's pursued by a wealthy but manipulative man named Lushin, who tries to control her by offering marriage. Dunya, however, values her independence and dignity, and eventually sees through his selfishness. Then there's Sonia Marmeladov, perhaps the most important person in Raskolnikov's journey. Sonia is the daughter of a drunken civil servant, Marmeladov. After her father's death, she is forced into prostitution to support her family, but she remains gentle, faithful, and compassionate. Despite her suffering, Sonia clings to her Christian faith and her belief in forgiveness. She becomes a mirror for Raskolnikov. While he hides in pride and theories, Sonia humbles herself through love and sacrifice. Their bond becomes central to the story. At the same time, a sharp and cunning police investigator named Porfiry Petrovich starts to circle around Raskolnikov. Porfiry is no ordinary detective. He doesn't rely on evidence alone. He studies psychology. He suspects Raskolnikov long before he has proof. Instead of accusing him outright, Porfiry plays a patient game, talking with him, dropping hints, watching his reactions. Their conversations are tense battles of wit, with Raskolnikov trying to outsmart him, but also revealing more of his troubled mind. As days pass, Raskolnikov's torment deepens. He isolates himself, lashes out at loved ones, and swings between arrogance and despair. At times, he insists that he had the right to kill, that people like him are above morality. At other times, he feels crushed under the weight of his guilt. He can't escape his own mind. This is the true punishment, the slow burning of his conscience. Sonia, however, remains by his side. She listens to him, comforts him, and gently urges him to confess. She reads him the story of Lazarus from the Bible, about a man raised from the dead, symbolizing hope and redemption. Raskolnikov resists at first, still clinging to his pride, but Sonia's love and faith begin to soften him. She doesn't judge him, she simply believes he can be saved no matter what he's done. Eventually, the walls close in. Porfiry reveals that he knows Raskolnikov is guilty, though he still lacks absolute proof. Instead of pressing charges, he appeals to Raskolnikov's conscience, telling him that confession is the only path to peace. Around the same time, another man falsely confesses to the murder, which shocks Raskolnikov even more, because it shows how twisted and confusing guilt can be. Finally, after a long inner struggle, Raskolnikov breaks. He goes to the police station and confesses his crime. His punishment is exile to Siberia, where he must serve years of hard labor. At first, even in prison, he feels cold and distant. He still clings to his pride, refusing to fully repent. But Sonia follows him there, leaving everything behind to stay close to him. Her love and loyalty slowly reach him. In the end, Raskolnikov begins to experience a transformation. His heart starts to open, not through philosophy, but through human connection and love. The novel closes with the possibility of redemption, showing that even the darkest soul can find light. What makes Crime and Punishment so powerful is not just the story of a crime, but the exploration of guilt, morality, and the search for meaning. Dostoevsky doesn't give us easy answers. He shows us the pain of pride, the struggle of conscience, and the healing power of compassion. Raskolnikov's journey is terrifying, heartbreaking, and ultimately hopeful. It reminds us that punishment is not only something the law gives, it's something we carry inside ourselves. And sometimes, the only way to be free is to confess, to accept, and to change.